It's May. Get it? It's May and it's me. It's going to be May. May is my birthday. I obviously give huge Taurus vibes, and we're celebrating my birthday here at the Red Apron Recipe Club with beef. One of my favorite ingredients, one of the most sold ingredients at my restaurant, one of the things I eat every single week is prime beef, okay? So we're gonna do a bistro steak. Now, let's talk about the hardware and the steaks for a while before we actually get into the process. So for a bistro steak, we're talking about a lesser known cut of meat, a butcher's steak. Flank steak, skirt steak, hanger steak, flat iron, my personal favorite. Those are the bistro steaks that I love. There's some lesser known ones like the Spider and the Newport that I also like, but really my favorite bistro steak is honestly this flat iron. Now we're talking about getting prime beef, the top 2% of American beef that's graded. Because it's a lesser known cut of meat, you can afford to get that prime beef as opposed to the choice beef. If you're getting choice, no worries. However, I really think it's worth splurging when you have a very simple recipe like this, where it's essentially the salsa verde and great technique with the steak. Next, we're going to talk about hardware. We're using a grill. You'll see when we go out to the grill, it's like a decade-old Coleman classic, just like crappy grill. That's what I like to use at home. Doesn't take a ton of space. If you got a big fancy grill like I have at the restaurant, good for you. If you don't have a grill, cast iron pan, and you're good to go. More importantly than that piece of cooking equipment are resting racks, okay? We're gonna use these twice today. These are super important. I use these at home all the time to dry potatoes, to cure a piece of fish, to roast potato skins in the oven, etc., etc. For today, this is gonna be the resting rack for after we grill it. It allows the meat to sort of breathe on both sides and allows it to sort of evenly sort of come back down to room temperature, okay? Now we're also going to take this prime flat iron steak and we're gonna open it out of the plastic or paper container bare minimum 4 hours before we cook it, but up to 2 to 3 days in advance. And what we'll do is we'll put on this resting rack on a smaller tray and we'll put it out in our outdoor refrigerator or in our indoor refrigerator, but away from other pieces of seafood and meat and cheese. We'll sort of allow it to have its own shelf. And what you're doing is you're starting the drying process on the outside of the steak. So that way, when you season it and when you go to grill it, it's gonna make it even better, the caramelization on the outside of it, okay? So we're gonna open the steak in advance as much as we can wait. Bare minimum 4 hours, up to 2 days. If you're going 2 or 3 days, just make sure you turn it over every couple of days just to make it super even, okay? Next, we're gonna temper the steak and we're gonna season it. So there's another one. At least 1 hour before, up to 4 hours before, we're going to season it. So that's just a gratuitous amount of kosher salt on both sides and a fresh ground of black pepper. Okay, up to 4 hours in advance. Now the reason that we do this is we want the salt and pepper through osmosis to sort of penetrate to the center of the flesh of that steak, but we also want the temperature of the steak to be above room temperature, right? Like that. We don't want it right out of the refrigerator and go on the grill. We want to allow it to come up to room temp. You're avoiding the sort of bullseye effect of grilling a steak, in which it's like raw in the middle and then medium rare and then well done on the outside, okay? So we have our equipment ready to go. We're gonna light our grill. We're gonna give that about 30 minutes to an hour to heat up, but we're also gonna make our sauce after we turn our grill on. So at home, I think you should do the same process. Pull the steak out a long time ago, season the steak. Go light your grill, then make your sauce. Then go back and grill your steaks, then allow the two to become one. Let's go light that grill. Okay, we're gonna light our grill. Look at this grill. Handle's melted, screen, old, leg broken, still works absolutely fine. It's not the quality of the grill that you have, it's the quality of the grill cook that really matters. Now the most important piece of equipment today, if you're using your grill, actually isn't the grill, it's the chimney that you use to light your grill. Now, if you're looking very closely, you can see some of these coals that are on top are actually already burned. And I'll save my coals every single time. We'll get to that at the end of the process because you can reuse them. However, we're not gonna use any lighter fluid whatsoever. We're just gonna use some leftover shipping paper from packages that my daughter and son and wife receive to the house daily. And we're gonna put it at the bottom of the chimney, one little ball at a time, and then we'll keep reloading it. After like 3 or 4 of these, we'll see from the side where the airflow goes through that the coals will start to lit. As soon as the coals are white, we'll flip it out. We'll put the rack back on top, And then we'll wait 15 to 20 minutes until it gets real hot, okay? All you need is paper and a lighter. Physics will do the rest. All right, see you guys in a couple minutes. So our steak is seasoned, coming up at room temperature. Our grill is lit. It's getting hot. We're gonna make our sauce and allow it to marinate, okay? So this is a salsa verde. Ours is gonna be based on cilantro, parsley, oregano, garlic, shallot, lime, red wine vinegar, and a little bit of chili. Now, when I make this base at the restaurant and when I make it at home, I actually don't put any of the red wine vinegar or the lime juice in until right before I'm about to serve it. So we can make a big batch of just herbs, aromatics, oils, and we can let it sit in the fridge days, even weeks. And then we pull out what we need, allow it to come up to room temperature, and add the acid. So I'm gonna, in no particular order, dice up this shallot, nice and fine. If you're feeling lazy, you wanna use your food processor or Roku or Ninja or Bullet, that's fine. Just be real careful with the herbs. You do need to sort of pre-chop them just a little bit, okay? And I love shallot, so I'm gonna use 1/2 of a whole shallot here. Feel free to use red onion or omit it altogether if onion isn't in your lifestyle, although if onion's not your lifestyle, honestly, I kind of feel bad for you because I love onions and they're good for you. Okay, shallot, 1 whole shallot in. Garlic. I'm gonna grab 2 large cloves and we're gonna smash them. Brenda, don't eat that. Brenda, no. Garlic bad for Brenda. Okay, I always peel off that little root end whenever I'm smashing garlic. We don't really need that. There's no flavor advantage to having that in there. Smashed up garlic, clear. Okay, go ahead and just move this all out of the way for a second. Fresno chili. This is really dependent on your lifestyle, right? You want to use a Serrano chili, you want to use a habanero, you want to use a Scotch bonnet. Just kind of depends on what you and your family want. Now, I am going to be eating this steak with my wife and daughter, so I'm going to take all the seeds out and I'm only going to do 1/2 of a Fresno, because if it's too spicy, they won't enjoy it. Okay? You can even use dried chili. Sometimes at the restaurant we'll put arbols in here too to really kick it up. Nice fine dice on those. Good to go. Now the herbs. It's kind of a 2-to-1 cilantro to parsley. And I think for me the easiest way to measure it is I'm just going to go ahead and go with 2 bunches of cilantro to 1 bunch of parsley. Now, I would never pick all this cilantro or all this parsley off the stem. There's nothing wrong with the stems. So I'm just going to slice it right to there and save the rest for another use. Okay, so right through the leaves, super fine slice, turning it, rolling it onto itself. Cilantro, check. Once I have it sort of sliced super fine, I'll go over it one more time with my knife. Okay, check. I love cilantro, and if you're of the 3 to 13% of people that think cilantro or that have this gene with a genetic makeup that allow it to taste like soap, you know what? Don't put any cilantro in there. That'd be stupid. I would never tell you to do a recipe that makes it taste like soap unless you had a swear mouth and you needed to have your mouth washed out with soap. Okay, parsley, 1 bunch. Check. In. Okay. Now we're just gonna do oregano. We're not even gonna cut it. We're gonna pull it off the stem. And we're gonna go right in. This is where I really like to sort of add both fresh and dried oregano. This dried Sicilian sort of on the branch bunches of oregano is one of my favorite ingredients. I use it all the time at the restaurant and at festivals. It really is one of the sort of treasures of Italy. Okay. Oregano in. Watch how easy this is. Done. Bam. Okay. Last ingredient we gotta cut is this preserved lemon. Now, If you're fancy and you make these at home, God bless you. If not, they're readily available. I got this jar at Whole Foods. You can get it at grocery stores all around you. Mediterranean stores, Middle Eastern stores. This is a big tradition of salt and sugar used as a preservation for the whole citrus fruit that also pulls out a little bit of its bitterness, okay? And we're gonna dice this real small, just like we did the shallots and the garlic and the Fresno chili. It's gonna be a textural component, but it's also gonna be a beautiful citrus note, okay? Now I'm gonna add some salt. I'm gonna add some pepper. And then we're gonna go in with our oils. First, our grapeseed oil. It's like a 3-to-1 ratio of grapeseed to olive. If you're getting crazy and you wanna go all olive oil, great, good for you. Love that. Okay, grapeseed in. Olive oil. Looks good. Now we're gonna do a splash of fish sauce. Okay. I'm gonna get a spoon. Give this a good mix up. Should be pasty and thick, but still also be wet enough that you can sort of spoon it. Okay. You need to let this sit for at least 30 minutes, up to a couple hours. But this is the base. This is what I told you guys I would put in the refrigerator and save forever. And I'll add the red wine vinegar and lime juice at the last second, right before we enjoy it with our steak. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a taste. A little more salt. That is awesome. Perfect complement to a bistro steak. Now, let's go grill that steak. Coals are hot. One little thing that I think people don't know about their grill and the way that airflow works is when you keep this open, that means the grill's hot. If for some reason you need to pause, time out your cooking process, close it right there, less airflow goes through because there's holes at the bottom no matter what. So leave it open, keep that grill hot. You can see these coals are hot, white hot coals, white hot grill. We're gonna go on with our steak right over top of those. Then we're gonna give it a second and we'll turn it over to the other side. So we followed all of the steak steps to practicing our grilled chi. The steak was pulled out and allowed to air dry 4 hours to 4 days. The steak was brought to room temperature and pre-seasoned 1 to 4 hours. We lit our grill, we got our grill hot, we cooked our steak on the grill, and then we rested it. All of these things will become intrinsically part of your steak mastery if you just start practicing them and you see the results, okay? So the steak is rested, you can tell because there's a little bit of juice from the steak sort of sitting at the bottom of that pan. And I'm just gonna carve off a couple of slices for myself to enjoy here. And then anoint it with that beautiful salsa verde. Look at that temperature. Absolutely perfect medium. You can tell I've done my 10,000 hours, okay? Place these directly onto my plate. Take some of the salsa verde, give it a mix up, and just dress the entire steak with that salty, sour, unctuous salsa verde mix, and you're dancing. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to you, and enjoy. See you next month, Red Apron Recipe Club. That's awesome.